Wie geht's?
Sehr gut.
Hallo, bereit für 18 Minuten mit Satyal und Silwal?
Ja.
Okay.
Hello listeners, you're listening to 18 Minutes with Satyal and Silwal. I'm Satyal.
And I'm Silwal, and we are a weekly podcast on the Himalayas.
When it's a Tuesday and it's 7:30, you know it's time for perspectives, conversations and stories.
If you think we're sounding a bit different, it's probably because the mic, we finally got a mic. So Satya, woohoo!
And this comes all the way from Nebraska, USA, and a lot of love to Azhar Satyal for sending us this mic.
Come on, I am so happy that we have a mic. If you're jealous about, Azhar getting all the love and support from us right now, send us something. I think I need a new pair of jeans, I don't know.
Especially after that capitalistic episode. Don't do that, man. Stay true to your words. And also a big thank you to Aparna Pandey, who wrote to us all the way from Germany. She talked about how her friends in Germany also listen to the podcast, and they were hoping that we'd have some subtitles in parts when we speak in Nepali.
But everyone knows we're
too lazy for that, so we'll try to keep the podcast as fully in English as possible. Alright, so Silva, what do we have for today?
I have my best friend on the show today.
Is it me?
Not really. I have another guy. I've talked about him quite a few times in the previous episode.
So I thought I'd call him to the podcast.
Because you brought your best friend in the first episode. So he is Prince Regmi.
Woohoo!
So this guy has been my friend since a long time now, and whenever it's 7:30, in whichever world he is in, he's like, I have some work. And
for him it's 3:30 because he's from Germany.
Yeah.
Prince will be basically sharing his experiences in India as a student because he did his undergrad there, and he'll be sharing about his experience after coming back to Nepal. But right now he's in Germany, so we'll be taking in the perspective of an international student. And basically the idea of this podcast is not to tell you what things will work out or what things will not, but we believe that there are a lot of variables in the environment and we just need to be aware of those variables. We call them the black swans. So the idea is to equip you with all the variables that's out there and for you to make your own decisions.
Yeah, I didn't introduce Prince because Satyal has stalked my best friend for some time now, and he knows literally everything, even the color of his underwear perhaps, I don't know. So let's formally introduce him. Woohoo!
So Prince, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Thank you so much.
I sound something, off in Satyal.
No, it's not off. Have you seen anyone coming from all the way from Germany to Nepal to record a podcast?
No, it just happens only in 18 minutes with Satyal and Silwal. Yeah, exclusively. So Prince, you were doing your A-levels in Nepal, and then you scored
relatively very bad.
Yeah.
And for that you went to India to study and give your A-levels again, right? Just tell us your journey.
What happened was I was hard-working student among four of us. We were four of us, and I was pretty hard-working.
But that did not reflect on your report card.
Yeah, that did not reflect on my report card, and I was always trying to do something different. That's why probably because I wanted to do. My parents wanted me to do +2, but I wanted to do A-levels because it was different.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And talking about being different, A-levels was different, and even after finishing my A-levels, I thought, why not do different again? Why not go to India? Because it was, there were so many factors that lured me to India. One was cost factor, another one was quality education, because there were like 40,000 engineering colleges in India, and if all the colleges had, they were having opportunities, they were sending students for placements, and many people were doing great back then.
More opportunities than in
Nepal. More opportunities than in Nepal. So why not India? And I filtered out many colleges, out of which I got into one of the best colleges in India, and I finished my undergrad there.
And they still took you despite those
bad.
No, I mentioned this not to make you feel bad, but to give hope to our listeners who listen to our podcast during times of exams.
Probably because that one setback led me to
be more
hardworking and
smart,
more outgoing towards education. So what I did was I prepared for my SATs and I scored pretty good in my SATs, and
That's nice.
Because of my ACTs, I think they took me.
Yeah, I just wanted to share this small story. So basically, in A levels, we had this four.
You're a group of four.
Yeah, a group of four with this gang, and what happens is, there's always this one person who's really good at studies. I was not the one. All right, his name is Vivek. He also listens to us sometimes. I don't know when, but he does. And then every time after we came out of our exams, Prayash and I were like totally lost. Our answers are all wrong.
Yeah, when people are discussing if the answer is 20 or 25 and you got something like 500 or 600, yeah,
exactly.
that
That's what would happen with us. But Prince here, right? Vivek is a smart ass, so he gets answers right. He used to always get answers similar to Vivek's. But when it's result time, it's like
I was the unlucky one.
he gets E's while we get C's and B's, right? So that is one thing. But yeah,
But kudos to you. You made it there. You went well.
After that, he had his wonderful SAT scores, and that got him into the undergraduate. So tell us a difference between how India was and how Nepal was in terms of education and opportunity. You talked about opportunities. Yeah, there's more in India, but
Education-wise, like
yeah.
how is it different from what it's like?
First thing I'd like to mention here, because I always wanted to study in a college with a huge campus space,
a proper university.
big buildings, and
you
professors.
see where my ideas come from.
Yeah, exactly. Renowned professors. I'd always wanted to work under them, so that was one of the factors. And there are very limited colleges in Nepal who provide that opportunity here in Nepal. So I wanted to experience that. That was one of the leading factors that pulled me to India. And another factor pulling me to India was cost. It was really amazing, because the same amount you spend here and the same amount you spend there, you get better education there. I can definitely say that.
We're not shitting on Nepalese universities, but yeah, that's the harsh truth. India has a good education system that is working out there.
Right. But let's talk about the flip side to it, because we try to keep a balance in the podcast, right? So you went to India, you studied at a good university, but the fact is that you missed out on 4 years in Nepal. How did that affect you, or did that ever affect you at all?
He missed his friends.
Yeah, of course I did. But apart from that, I missed opportunities here in Nepal itself, because Nepal is a very raw space. You can do almost anything here. If you can make it, you can make it big here itself. I missed out on that. I missed out on my family. I missed out on my friends. Those were the major things that I missed out on those 4 years.
Was there any way through which you were keeping tabs on what was happening in Nepal whilst you were outside? Your brother could be one.
Yeah, my brother could be one, and my best friend here itself. People were updating me about how political situations were here in Nepal. He and I, Satyal, Silwal and I both started our undergrad at the same time. I finished almost a year ahead of him. That was one of the
That's one harsh reality.
Exactly.
Yeah. The university, Pokhara University, fuck you guys, man, for elongating 1 year of my life just because I had to graduate. I was supposed to do it in 4 years, but it took me almost 4.5, 5 years. So.
And another thing about doing engineering in India was, if you finished engineering in India, you've seen different part of life in. You've seen life.
There are many stories.
There are many stories. People come from all the states, all the 27, 28. I don't know how many states are there. all those states, and even there were international students, and you can interact with so many different people, and you'll see when you meet people, you'll see what they're up to.
You learn a lot about cultures.
Exactly.
So bringing that back, you did your undergrad in India, and then you came back here, right? You talked about how Nepal is a raw space, and you can do almost anything that you put your heart and mind into it. But for your masters again, you chose a completely different country, not a country that we normally associate.
The likes of Australia's or the UK's or the Americas. Yeah.
You chose Europe and you chose Germany, right? And you did, so a little background, you did IT in undergrad, so Germany sounds like a good place for IT. But you talked about a raw space, you left that and you went for your master's there. So tell us about that.
So this was not an overnight decision that I'm going to Europe the other day. No. What happened was, in my final semester, I guess, I had a teacher called Ayar Rao. He was he did his, I don't know, I think he was in Germany for around 4 or 5 years, and he was working under Bosch, the company. And he offered a German language elective
Just like that.
Just like that. And it was right under my department. You know, the IT department was on the 6th floor, and he was from electrical department, and it was on 4th floor. So I was like, why not? Why not try another language?
Right.
And that guy was so amazing. You know, he was sharing all those beautiful experiences in Germany, how were the people, how the university was, and that somehow, and even I was learning the language. So I was getting into the wave. So that led into another, and then I wrote my TOEFL, and then everything happened, and then I applied. Unfortunately, I got into one.
So in hindsight, when you look back at it, he was the catalyst that probably
Exactly. He was
steered you into this direction.
Somehow, was it Tuesdays with Maury that said a teacher touches 1,000 lives, and I'm not sure.
It's on page 74 before the start of a chapter.
Wow,
So
that is dedication.
that's a quote.
Because teachers do have the ability to change so many lives, and your life completely changed in some ways. By him being there at that moment in time. So
Okay, so he influenced you. You made up your mind, but talk us through the decision-making process, because I'm sure a lot of our listeners here are done with their undergrad and they're looking at options. And for me, still, Europe is an offbeat option because, like we said,
language issue.
The language is different, and when you talk about going abroad, it's just like Australia springs to mind first, UK, and most definitely the United States, right?
Okay, let me start with one simple thing. What we want is the quality education. And obviously, United States provides that, Australia provides that, other countries provide that. Why I chose Europe was, free education. That was the major thing, free education.
Yeah, cheapskate.
Yeah, exactly. And quality education as well. There are thousands of universities providing very, very good education with lots of opportunities. And I was like, why not try that? Because once you go to US, obviously you'll be earning much more than when you're here in Europe. You'll be earning like
even in Australia, you earn much more. Yeah.
But that's not the case in Europe. But what happens there? What happens in Australia? What happens in US is whatever you earn, you spend in paying the loan that you've taken to finish your undergrad or masters. That's not the case here. Your education is free. You study for free. Whatever you earn, that is for yourself.
Okay, so you can put that into travel.
Exactly.
Was traveling a large part a factor in your decision making because you can move around Scandinavian countries?
Yeah, that was one. In my 4 or 5 months of stay in Germany, I've already been to 4 countries, and that was also one of the pulling factors.
You mentioned that there's free education in Germany. Is there a catch to it?
Yeah, there is one. Living cost is comparatively high. You'll require around 600-700 euros to survive a month. Every month. But that is again compensated by the work that you get there. It's not easy to get work there because there's a language barrier. There is a huge language issue. If you've not done your A1, A2, that is the language levels that you require to do before going to Germany. If you've not done that, there is a high chance that you might not get good, high paying jobs or table jobs.
It'll be menial jobs.
Yeah, it'll be menial jobs there. But again, if you're studying in English universities, and if you're good enough, you'll be
good to go without the language.
Yeah, good to go without the language.
So if you grind it out without the language as well, you will survive your 2 years in masters.
But it does affect you, right? You're trying to have a conversation with a stranger in the street, and if that person does not understand you, then it does not really make sense.
But again, when you're there, you'll see things. Like what happened to me was when I was in airport for the first time, I saw Ausgang written everywhere, and I was wondering, what does this mean? There are so many places called Ausgang here in Germany. What literally meant was exit.
Okay.
And you'll see things, you'll buy stuffs, you'll read that, and over the time you'll be learning the language as well. So in my 4 or 5 months, I'm not pro in German, but I can manage.
Okay.
You can understand.
I can understand German.
I think when I was learning French and when trying a new language out, one of the best things that I learned from my professor or my tutor was she talked about how just being in a class will not teach you language.
Exactly.
If you are out in a cafe in France or a cafe in Germany, that's the best place to learn German or any language. If you are out there with the culture, it'll enhance your language speed. So
it's better if you learn that language because in a way
it's obvious.
It's an edge. It's a huge edge.
It's a huge edge. So that's one thing that should be aware of. What are other things that you would want a prospective student wanting to go to Europe have now?
don't sort out colleges just by looking at the rankings, because that does not really matter there. Because all the universities are good enough, but what do you want? If you really want to do a major in something, just look into the profile of the teacher that they're teaching there, the education that you're getting there. Also look for the if you're planning to do your masters in for finance or banking sectors, it's better if you look into the colleges that are near Frankfurt, because it's a financial capital. If you want to do a major in masters
in IT,
IT, somewhere around, you get the idea, right? Just look into the places where the opportunities are high.
That you make a fantastic point. It's not just about the university in isolation, but rather where it's located,
Exactly.
and the teachers around, and just knowing, just a general awareness
the
of your
environment
surroundings.
that you'll be living there.
That's a fantastic point you made.
You'll have a very high social security there. The insurance covers everything, and you'll get a semester ticket through which you can travel the whole state for free, and that's a huge plus point for a student. For me, if I stay in Darmstadt, and if I have to go to Frankfurt, every time I go, I'll have to pay 9.5 euros.
Just to put that into perspective, how far is Frankfurt and Darmstadt?
It's around 25 kilometers. For that, you're paying 10 euros, approximately 10 euros.
That's
but
fantastic.
when I have a semester ticket, I can travel that for free.
So, while the living cost might be a bit on the higher side, other factors play into your decisions, right? So that is really
To put it in a nutshell, if you are a student there in Germany, it's a very, very nice place to get an education. But if you want to go there and settle in Europe, I don't think it's. And if you want high-paying jobs, I don't think that's a.
All right, so you just we're
Good
almost
option.
at the end of it, but you talked about how living there for a really long time might not be for you. Why so?
To be honest, it's a experience. It's my experience. It might not fit into every people that are listening to the podcast right now. For me, I think coming back to Nepal and doing something here would be better, because I've already got quality education there. I'll be getting my experience there. After I'll be working there for another 2 years, and when I come back with that experience, I think I can do much more better here in
You
Nepal
can
itself.
mold the raw space that is
Exactly.
in Nepal that you talked about.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
but I'd like to throw the question to you guys. Why did you guys chose to stay back?
Satyal.
Well,
Satyal.
that's a very interesting question. We've run out of time to answer that question on this podcast, but we'll definitely get back to you and to all the listeners who might want to know why we stayed back.
You might not find another listener, because I've already been here to the podcast. I am not the sure listener next time.
So yeah, we'll talk about that in the next episode, in future episode. So yeah, the whole idea of bringing Prince to the podcast was to give you perspectives from his experiences, and that might not necessarily fit into yours, that we agree. But the whole idea is to put to you the variables that are out there, and just to keep you informed.
Every story, every person is unique, and you cannot generalize everything that happens just by listening to one person. So that's what our idea was.
Yeah,
to
and we're
bring
like,
in
we're very influenced by Sam Levinson's quote, in which he says, you can't live possibly long enough to make all of your mistakes. You have to learn from the mistakes and experiences of other people, and that is just what we are trying to do with the podcast.
So with that, we come to the end of the 29th episode. Thank you so much to Prince
Thank
for
you so
being
much,
here.
guys.
He's going back to Germany again.
Safe flight, bro.
Safe flight.
And
In
thank
2
you,
hours,
Animation.
probably.
The whole idea of this podcast is to build a community. So if you want to get in touch with Prince, and he's very willing to help you with education out there in Germany and
Yeah,
what it is
anytime.
like in Europe. So just get in touch with him. His profile description is in the link below. A big thank you to Animesh for his technical inputs, and to all our listeners for tuning into us each and every week. We'll be back again next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. And until then,
It's never too late to start. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.